So hello, my name's Tracy from ClayWays, and we were in the studio this morning. We've got a couple of workshops coming up, and the first one is making a moon gazing hare. So we made one this morning, and we just thought it would be nice to show people what a workshop's like, because we do go through everything step by step with people. So this is the moon gazing hare that we're going to be making in the next workshop. When you arrive, the clay is already weighed out for you for a workshop. So we have the clay set out for each of the parts of the hare that we're going to be making. First things first, we start making the body. This is made, so the body part of the clay is 480 grams. I've finally got into grams after years of being pounds and ounces. So I use stoneware clay in ClayWays Studio. Stoneware, it can go in the oven, it can go outside. It's a really robust clay. So this can go outside, it can go inside when it's made. So we bash it a bit at the front, at the bottom, to give it a nice sturdy base. And then we roll it a little bit just to make it a little longer. And what we're looking for is a front and a back. So the front is quite flat. That is where we're going to stand if you look on here, we're going to put the legs alongside the front of the body, and the back is a little more rounded and more curvy, where his bottom cheeks are. So what we do, we get the sort of shape that we want, flatten off the front, and then you can see that we've got a flat front, and this bit is sort of curving round. With clay, what we want to do is make sure that it is just the right consistency and weight and thickness to dry easily, but still be sturdy enough to pick it up. So I will take the body of my hare, and I'll put my thumb in to the middle and push it up as far as my thumb will go. And then I'm going to rotate all the way around, pinching with my fingers and thumb all the way around. So I've made a nice hole in the bottom. And you can see that it is starting to bulge out a little bit at the bottom. So that's still my flat side, and then I want it to build out a little bit at the bottom, like a bottom at the back. So with my thumb, I'm just going to push it out a little bit, and I'm stroking down from the top, and I'm just pushing out a little bit from the inside outside, just to make a bit of a bottom. And then I've got the flat side, which is where the front legs will go, and then I've got the base at the back. So you can see that these are where his haunches are. So the next thing I'm going to do on the hare is add a tail. So I've got a tiny piece of clay here, it's only 20 grams, and I'm just going to flatten off the bottom, and then I'm going to make it into a little curly tail at the back. So you can see on this one where I've attached it at the back, at the bottom. So I'm just going to make the tail shape for the hare and flatten off the base. Now everything that we do in clay is about connections between two pieces of clay. So you might use a tool like this, a scoring tool, or a scratching tool like this with little edges on. And what we're going to be doing is scoring onto both sides that need to be attached. So I want to make the tail about in the middle at the back. So I score it, and then I add slip, which is just dried clay, which I've added a bit of hot water to, and it makes this stodgy clay stuff that's like glue. So we just stick that onto one of the sides of where we've scored it, and then I stick that directly onto the base of the hare. And then I get one of the tools, I take a tool like this, just a wooden tool, you get a plastic tool, and I call it smudging it on. But you're just blending the tail into the body of the hare and making sure that it's attached beautifully. And then I smudge it on with my fingers and make it into the shape that I want. I like a little cheeky point up. And then while I'm here, I will use that scoring tool again with the little hairs, and I will put put some texture on that tail. It's easier to do it now because you'll see in a little bit when we put the legs on the back, it will start to disappear and we won't be able to get to it. So there you have a hare's tail on the back of a hare with the front flattened where we can put the front paws. So the next thing I'm going to do are the big feet, the big back feet. So there's quite a bit of clay here. This one I think was 120 grams, but this will make 2 feet. So I want to cut this in half, so I'll make a little sausage, cut it in half, and then what I'm going to do is just pad it out into a sausage shape again, and at one end I'm just going to roll it a little bit thinner, so I'm making a foot shape. I squash it down so it's almost like a little pear, making the shape of a pear but flattening it down. So this is the shape of the paw. So that's one paw and this will be the other paw, and we want to make them about the same. They'll never be exactly the same, but about the same is good enough. So now I'm making the rear paws. They're quite large because obviously rabbits and hares like to jump a long way, so making those and we can attach those to the main body. I'm now making the back legs of the hare, which I will bend them into shape and put a knee in there. So I'll just roll it out a little bit, roll out the other one, and then bend them into shape so that I've got a knee and a leg. Now I've finished the legs, I'm going to now move on to the front paws. So make the front paws in exactly the same way as I made the larger back paws, but just a bit smaller. So push it out into a sort of avocado shape and then cut 4 paws in the middle and one either side. Splay them out a little bit and shape them into little claws. And then I use my tool, this tool with a little point on, to just push into the end to make little claws on the ends, and then push them back together so that you get a nice paw shape. Just wanted to say we've had our students who come in to the studio have been so lovely. There hasn't been a single one that I haven't enjoyed meeting and sharing our love of clay with. Quite a few people start out just coming for one session, and then they love it so much that they come back and join us for more regular classes, and it's lovely to see them, and they become friends. So if you're looking for a nice friendly group of people to do something fun with, and to end up at the end of every session that you've made something that with your own hands, then ClayWays sessions are really good. And if you look on our Trustpilot reviews, you'll see we keep asking people to do them and they're all positive. So now I'm just putting on the front of the head. I'm just taking bits of clay and squishing on to shape the face, to put the natural pads in under the chin, just below the nose, near the mouth, and to give the bunny some little fat cheeks, and then just tickle it around. So at the moment I'm making the head of the rabbit. I'm just adding some extra clay into the cheeks to give him a nice full of fat cheeks around that, just under the eye sockets, and just squeezing it, squishing it around to make the face of the rabbit or hare. And then I use the spike tool to just make the nostrils and the nose shape so that it looks like a friendly, happy little hare. So I'm just making the ears now, big ears for a hare, long floppy ears. And this really is how a workshop is. I work alongside you, we build the items together to create an item that you're really pleased with, and if there's any issues or any problems, I help you. So you can make it as unique as you like and make it your very own hare. And they are the ears that I've just made. So now I can start putting the whole thing together. So I take my base, and the first thing I'm going to do is just square him off a little bit, because you want him to be, the tail to be central. So make sure that's central, flattening off the front. And then I'm going to put the two big paws that I've made at the side. So again, we slip and score the two sides that are going to be touching. And I put the paws on either side of the hare. Get my slip, put that on, and then push that into the side so it's attached to the main body of the hare. There we go, so they are pushed there. If you can pick the whole thing up, and then you can smudge it into the base, and that just creates a better connection to the clay, so you've got a cohesive piece. So now that makes the bottom nice and tidy too. And at this stage you can sign your piece on the bottom if you wanted to, and make sure everybody knows that it's your hare, and put your initials on. We use the pointy tool, we use the needle tool to sign our names on the bottom, so we know whose is whose. So now I've attached the big paws, so you can see that at the front, the big paws are attached. Just need to smudge that up a little bit. And now I'm going to attach the rear legs. So these are the rear legs with a little knee put in that I bent earlier. So I attach the front leg to here, and then the back leg is going to go around. And then slip and score again on both sides, and then put the slip on one side and attach the ankle to the big paw. And then I'm going to slip and score over here, slip and score at the base on one side of the tail, and slip in there. And then when I've done that, I can just pop it into place and smudge it into place using my smudging tool. You just want to either use your finger like this, or use the tool to just join the two pieces really nicely together. And then pick it up and smudge that back leg underneath. What you're doing is making a nice bottom, tucking it round, and it's his haunches. So you're just attaching it to the base. And then you do the same with the other leg. Now I use these front paws, and I attach the front paws to the base. Attach the front paws. I've never made anything quite so sloppy. I'm doing it so quickly. I'm taking no time to finesse. Push those in. Then we take the legs, the smaller ankle, so our mixed ability workshops are open sessions where people of any ability can come along and play with clay. Some people are more advanced, they know what they're doing, they just get on with it, and there's just gentle guidance or ideas from us. Or we have one-to-one close support, helping people who've never played with clay before to become confident and understand more about clay and how it works. So we're really happy to invite anybody of any skill along to the studio to come and be part of our pottery throwing gang. I love being in the studio. It's my safe and happy place. It's very peaceful. The beautiful view over the fields, and we see barn owls. We have bird feeders on the window, so we have great tits and robins and thrushes and starlings coming very close to us, so we can see those. And it's a very calm, quiet space. And that's one of the things that people have said about ClayWays when they come, how they love the space. It is just in my garden of my house. Persuaded my husband to invest in a studio. He was very much happy wife, happy life, bless him, he puts up with a lot. But I just love sharing the studio space with people who want to make friends, want to relax, but also want to make something lovely out of clay. So I'm now attaching the ears to the back of the head, so I'm just slipping and scoring, adding the ears with a bit of slip, putting it back and then sticking on firmly, and then they will attach. This clay is a little bit wet at the moment, and then smudging it on. So what I'm doing now is just refining the shape. Now I've got all the pieces on, I'm refining the shape of the legs, I'm refining the shape of the hair. Now I've got the basic information on. I'm going to add some more clay to his chest to create this chest hair on here, so that it all blends down into his legs, because we've just got the skeleton in for the time being. So what I'm doing, I'm blending in all the pieces of clay to make that hairy chest that hares have, and then just making sure that that head is attached properly to the neck by just smudging the clay up from the neck and making sure it's all beautifully attached. And the time when you'll make it look professional and make it look good is now. So you'll start adding pieces in, you'll start making it look refined. At the moment is a skeleton, as I said, so just keep adding pieces in, smudging it, and as the clay dries a little bit, this clay is a little bit wet, as it dries a little bit, then it becomes easier to mould it and make it into the shape that you want. I like a really rough finish, so it's a bit more cartoony or more rather than realistic, I would say. So I don't go for complete realism in the stuff that I do, but you can make it as realistic as you like. But I quite like thick, broad brush strokes, using the tool to make some really cool designs. When we have a workshop, we go through it step by step. The workshop's 3 hours, so we take our time. This is obviously being done a lot quicker than that to show you how the process works. But the clay then needs to dry. So the clay will dry. It can take a couple of days, it can take a couple of weeks. It depends on the ambient temperature. And if it's thick clay, we need to make sure that it dries really well so that it doesn't explode in the kiln. If there is too much liquid in the clay when we put it into the kiln, the hot air expands the water and it can explode, and we obviously don't want that. So we will leave the clay to dry, however long it takes, and then it will go into a bisque fire. And bisque fire means that it will fire it to about 1040 degrees in the kiln, and it comes out very hard and durable, and we can decorate it then. So then we will glaze it with various glazes that we have in the studio, either dipping glaze or a painting brush on glaze, and then we will glaze it again to about 1240 degrees, so even hotter, and it will create a beautiful durable glass finish on the top, and that's when they're ready to take home. So I'm going to carry on playing with this one. There's still quite a lot of refinement to do to this one, but we have lots of time in the workshop. We have a 3-hour session to put these together. Thank you so much for watching. Part 2 will be out soon when we will glaze the rabbit. I'll be putting this one on the shelf very soon to dry with this one, so that we can put them both in the kiln together. We hope to see you soon in a workshop or online. Thank you for watching.